This is the Frontline Focus podcast, an experience dedicated to those on the front line of construction project sites, focusing on their development as the key to the construction industry's progress. This is Season 4. Our focus will be on the reality of AI, aka Artificial Intelligence. Specifically, how can AI make a positive impact on construction safety? In each episode, we will talk with a construction industry professional to hear their thoughts on how to shift the frontline focus on what artificial intelligence is and what the use cases are for AI to be used by the construction workers. All right. It is a new season, a new time, new conversations. Gabe, Season 4. What do you think, sir?
Well, it's exciting. Season 4, when we first started, I was like, oh, this is an interesting little test we do. There's a lot of podcasts out there. How's it going to go? I definitely like the season idea that you threw out there, Rob. I think that makes more sense instead of random conversations. Let's have a theme per season, which I'm liking. I'm loving this season's theme around AI. We're going to try and make it a little bit less, a little different than all the noise that's out there. And definitely focused on construction. But yeah, it's great all around, Rob.
Man, it's good to have you along for the ride, and I agree with you. The season idea actually came from Mr. Jeff Sample, my brother from another mother on the construction crew side of things. Speaking of contact crew and construction people, our guest for this episode is Patrick Scaparti with the ABC, the Associated Builders and Contractors. Patrick, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on. And with the AI theme of the season, it's definitely a topic that's, I don't think, ever going to go away.
You're our first guest for Season 4. So there you go, Patrick.
I'm setting the stage. You're
setting the tone. No pressure. No pressure.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh, man, I know you're ready. It's kind of one of these things as we look and we serve the construction industry, and it does change a lot. We do have a plan for this podcast and the different seasons and the themes, but I remember about 3 weeks ago, after I'd done one of the events for the ABC, it just started landing with me of like, you're right now, this is a hot topic, and it's hot, and I'll say this two ways. Either people are like really into it and they want to talk, or it still scares them very much. And I hate to say it, the majority of the talks that I'm having at construction events is, well, this AI thing, and there's still a little bit of weirdness. And that's when I said, Gabe, let's insert a season right now about AI. What is it? What does it do? And he said, well, who are you going to get? I said, well, there's a few people we could talk to. And Patrick, you were at the top of that list of saying what you're doing with the ABC, what you're doing in the construction industry. I said, let's go pick his brain first and just start this conversation of AI for construction. What?
Yeah.
It's awesome to have you here, man.
I think the coolest thing about AI too is that it's so bleeding edge still. I know AI, we've tried, like Siri is a form of kind of the first AI and stuff, but even if you are just coming into AI now, you could be from any walk of life, any profession. Your opinion does matter, right? And you're actually not that far ahead of where the leaders are in what they're doing with AI. Like conceptually, we're not that far along the journey. We are all kind of in the professional opinion, perspectives need to be had on this, and different takes need to be taken, and perspectives and conversations. And one thing that you think you know one day after spending a little bit more time completely changes your paradigm on what you think you can do with AI or what the future looks like. So Patrick, we're going to get into that stuff with you because I'm sure you have a different take than other people. You're immersed around so much of this, but Rob, I've taken the first question so many times. I want you to lead the first question this time.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I appreciate that. Well, Patrick, for those that have not heard you speak or seen you at a presentation or familiar with your work, let's start with first of who is Patrick and what brought you to the ABC? Like, how did your path in construction land you to work with this amazing trade organization?
Yeah, so currently my title is Director of Construction Technology and Innovation with Associated Builders and Contractors. So I work out of our national office, but we are made up of 67 chapters all around the country. I know Rob, you've had, and Gabe, you both have had really the pleasure of visiting several of these chapters in person. We have about 23,000 member companies, and they represent a variety of disciplines within the construction industry, but it's mostly going to be commercial and industrial. So I just kind of wanted to get that out of the way, familiarity with, ABC, who we represent, and I guess shout out in general because this year is the 75th anniversary of ABC. So started back 1950. Actually, I'm in Maryland. I live on the Eastern Shore. Started in this area, so that's pretty cool. You get that little tidbit on the show here, but kind of rewinding back a little bit. I've been at ABC for about 2 years, but I've been really in construction for, I don't know the hard number. It's over 10 years now at this point. But I am a product of ABC, and what I mean by that is I went through the apprenticeship program. So I am a licensed HVAC journeyman here in the state of Maryland. I do still at least carry the license. I'm not practicing anymore. But that's how I got into construction. Really, I didn't have a clue of technology at that point. Working in the field, classroom time, just I was learning the craft, right? Just learning to be in construction in general. So I finally got exposed to technology at that level. It was something called BIM, building information modeling. Was looking at spool drawings and these isometric drawings. I said, where did these come from? This isn't the contract set of drawings. This is something else. This came from our shop. That really pulled me in. Had the opportunity to eventually start living in that BIM universe a little bit at that company, and this was a mechanical, electrical, and plumbing trade partner at the time. And of course, in that role, you're usually heavily involved with a BIM coordination process, leading it, modeling it, detailing it, prefabricating, all of that stuff. So imagine I'm sitting there learning my craft in the field part of the time, going to class, apprenticeship stuff, and then also learning BIM and other technology sprinkled in here and there, kind of the early days of digital project management platforms and GCs adopting it and looking at us going, hey, you have to use this on your job site, right? So getting exposed to that. Fast forward a little bit there, I did make my way to a general contractor. So I went from small to medium sized trade partner to medium to large size general contractor to help start up their VDC team. And that opened my eyes to the whole world of technology, right? It's not just BIM. There's so many tools and processes and innovations that are everywhere, and what can impact our business the best way. And really stayed involved with that, introduced a lot of great ideas to the company. Was also met with some roadblocks naturally with when it comes to the technology and adoption. That's gonna come. So uh, really having the opportunity to work through those. That was an awesome learning curve for me and in troubleshooting all of those situations. So keep in mind up to this point, I did stay involved with ABC at the chapter level. I was nominated to be a board member at the chapter level. It's a leadership position, right, to help drive that chapter's success through membership, workforce development, legislative affairs, and safety, total human health, and all that stuff. It was exciting. Like, here's this tech guy, also a journeyman, sitting this board of directors at this chapter, company leadership. Here I am, they're listening in, right? And like bringing that, I don't know if it was a younger voice at the time, but there was value there. And I really got to see the true impact of ABC outside of just the apprenticeship and the value that it brings to the industry. Stayed involved, and eventually this opportunity came up at ABC National to work alongside with Matt Abels, who was running the technology and innovation team, which was him and Joseph, just the two people at the time. So been there for 2 years, and now I really had the pleasure of bringing awareness to the entire industry technology, innovation, educating the current workforce, the future workforce, and staying involved as much as possible and needing leadership like you guys, tech leaders, and how you're making a difference in the industry and the problems that you see and the solutions that you're bringing to the table and making the transition to the solution as easy as possible. So, long-winded answer there. I hope that answered it, but kind of played so many different roles, right? And speaking as a member of ABC to an ABC employee, and I really get pleasure of like really being able to empathize with our membership base, who are the people building, they're the people using the technology,
For sure. And
and
you
really
were
I try to understand them.
and you've done you've had many roles in the industry. How old were you when you did your apprenticeship?
I thought I was late to the game. I'm in the millennial group, so the whole high school thing was college, college, college. I tried it. I tried it. Let's just put it that way. Got to a certain point, realized this is not working out for me. So I stopped. I guess I might consider it a college dropout at that point. I'm still paying student loans. I can prove it. I did go to college. I have student loans still.
I didn't even
I
go to
just
college, man. I didn't even try that because I knew it wasn't gonna be my cup of tea. So I went right into the trades. But how old were you when you set foot on the construction site and started doing your apprenticeship?
24, 25, and I'm serious. I thought I was late to the game. And lo and behold, I show up, year one apprenticeship. The cohort that I'm with was about 20, 25 people. Naturally, it kind of fell off a little bit over the 4 years. But man, we did have some students right out of high school. And then we had students in their 40s, in their 50s, humming, wanting to either get this journeyman's license to progress their career, try something new, or I remember there was a master electrician in my class, and he was saying, I'm doing this to better my life, better my family. Get this journeyman's license. I can make more money and go further in my career. So it was kind of a settling moment for me, realizing, okay, this is something right here.
Getting
Yeah.
a ticket, an apprenticeship, a trade, becoming a tradesperson is even if it doesn't work out for you as a career in the end, it's something you're always gonna get value from. You'll always carry with you for your whole life, and it's incredibly valuable. Question for you, 24-year-old Patrick, what are the odds you would have asked them, "Hey, where do you see yourself?" I don't know how old you are now, but in the future, let's say 10, 15 years later, where do you think you're gonna be, director of construction technology and innovation at a at ABC? What are the odds that maybe, like, just going from the concrete to the C-suite to take the Craig Sizemore approach, that one thing, like going from the field to the office is one thing that trade workers like, I can never go to the office. But now you're even further. You're like on the technical side of that. Was that always something that was in your DNA, or is this something that you just like, what would that conversation have been like if I walked up to you at 24?
Well, no, I didn't know I was gonna end up here. Um, that position didn't even exist then. The idea of that type of leadership didn't even exist. What encouraged me was workforce development. I do have a passion for that. I'm able to lean on technology to help get that message across. And this was something I think by the year four, the apprenticeship, so the last year, I started to get exposed to BIM and other tech. I was taking what I was learning and bringing it to my class with students that weren't exposed to that, and was saying to them, this is something worth putting effort into and learning, because you're going to learn a whole new skill on top of becoming this expert in your trade and your craft. And if you can combine the both of those, you're an asset, right? You can pretty much pick a direction, right? And you have all of this knowledge now. And I still say that too whenever I get a chance to talk to middle or high school students. I say the same thing. Like, technology is cool, innovation is cool, it's fun. I've gotten to play with some fun toys, with drones, with laser scanners, and I've seen Spot the dog walk around, right? Um, but that's only like one part of where I got to today. The other part is understanding what is getting built, right? And how technology can help facilitate the built process.
Agreed. So there's probably a natural aspect that you had in you that was just a little bit more innovative. You're always looking to push yourself, learn. Did the office scare you going into the office as a trade worker, trade person, or was that something that you were comfortable in an office environment?
So you're saying access to air conditioning and facilities that's not a porta potty,
I can
right?
tell you
That's a
right
joke.
now, the
It's a
office
joke.
scared the crap out of me when I was in the field. Like it terrified me. A laptop terrified me. I just shut down. But not everyone's like that. So that's what I'm like. What I there's a few things I'm trying to get at is that so many different people can get into trades and have an incredible career. It's not trades alone is a great incredible career, but it also opens you to so many opportunities. I am a CEO and a founder of a software company. I never thought in a million years I'd do that. You're the director of innovation at one of the largest associations in North America. Like, wow, right? Switching kind of to the AI side, but actually answer, yeah, what do you think about that? Just mindset.
I mean, I was joking before, right? I think just the office in general, it was just an example of creating your path within construction because it's there. And um, even college graduates, it's still a great path. Construction management, awesome field, and going through that life and in the office, but still balancing it with the field. I always made it a point to still go to job sites, even moving on to a GC. I needed to show my face, wanted to walk the job sites, talk to the people using the tools, and not just throw it out to them. So, coming into the office wasn't so scary. And it was also a way for me to communicate. I mean, what's the conversation around construction? The stigma is like it's rough and tough in the field. Yeah, there's aspects to it that certainly are. But understanding kind of both sides, the office side and the field side, you can better communicate that to the future workforce and show them the options and just present it to them in a different light.
AI. Do you think, like in the vein of this conversation, do you think AI helps bridge the gap between the office and the field, or do you think it pushes it further away?
That's the hope. We know people are curious, people are trying. I think, the idea with AI, especially when ChatGPT came to the surface, that was like the big public, oh my gosh, I can interact with AI. And so we were trying to figure it out at that point. And really, we still are. And what are the use cases for it? But what we're trying to accomplish is communication, right? Because when we think of or job sites in the office, the narrative of communication breakdowns will typically come up. But we've seen solutions, right? Digital project management tools, a tool like yours, right? The software is, or all that data can live in one spot, and we can communicate that flawlessly with no speed bumps along the way. AI can just help us get to this data quicker or cleaner, or it can maybe generate certain documentation for you based on that job site data. So, first and foremost, it's going to be the communication aspect and getting that messaging across.
You guys are talking about that scary jump from the field to the office. Talking about scary, I have heard for several weeks now as I've asked construction pros about using AI. There's still so much of that scary mentality, and I'm curious the seat you're sitting in, Patrick. What are some of the challenges you see? The challenges for the craft worker in the field or the staff member in the office? What are the challenges for construction workers to really leverage and utilize AI moving forward?
Mentioned earlier, what ABC is made up of, the 67 chapters. We have this opportunity to visit a large handful year in and year out and their members. When we go, and the number one requested topic they want to learn more about is AI. So this puts us in front of contractors to walk through whatever they want to learn about. But we also view it as a situation to talk to them, talk to the members. Tell me what you think about it. Help us connect you to the right resources, the right knowledge base. And some of the things that we're hearing and we're seeing are, I think it comes down to two or three comments and questions. We will typically see one. There's always going to be somebody joking about the Terminator and Skynet. So that's like a good
Yeah.
aha moments and like, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know.
First time it's
Can't
funny. The
I can't
300th
speak to
time it's like
that. I laugh every time. It's valuable, right? It's fine. People can relate it to that. That's perfectly fine. But then the other side is construction as a whole is made up of small to mid-sized contractors. It's not, I mean, the ENR top 500 is 500, right? The majority is going to be a lot smaller, less revenue, less employees. So when it comes to anything tech adoption, it's a huge hurdle for them. And this is who we're speaking to. This is who we're listening to. And we're getting questions like, okay, so I'm trying to implement this project management tool, or I'm trying to get my employees to use iPads on a job site.
right.
AI seems like such a huge lift, and I'm worried it's going to put me behind in the industry because I can't. I'm kind of trying to keep up with getting away from spreadsheets with my
Right.
accounting team, right, and going over to a digital platform. And AI seems they're scared that it's creating a bigger separation between them and these larger companies in the industry. So with the education, the outreach that we're providing at ABC, we're hoping to really close that together and just tie all those points together with workforce development, with safety. Like AI can really speak to so many things. So we just give them these little use cases, these little examples of let's just jump in, let's see how we can start using it today. Right? No need to wait. How can we use it today?
The f
So,
the
those
fun
are some of the things we're hearing.
the funny thing about that, Patrick, is I actually believe that AI is going to be the tool that helps level the playing field for that disparity between the big and small and large companies, because those small companies are struggling with SaaS software, becoming cutting edge with software, using Excel even in the most cutting edge way, or rolling out a project management finance software. It's not easy. You need to have a champion in your company. Ideally, you have incredibly intuitive software that's easy to use, but you still need somebody that's going to have a little bit more knowledge. One of the things that I've found, even because I'm not tech savvy as far as I'm the CEO of a software company, so I'm maybe now more tech savvy than others, but I can't use Excel. Recently, this is in Excel, Google Sheets, same. I just noticed the AI tool for Google Sheets, and I built myself a spreadsheet in 3 minutes and iterated that spreadsheet through conversational text with the AI tool that made it so easy for me to use that the way my brain work is not my brain doesn't work on an academic level as much. Like when I see reading and writing, I shut down. When I see spreadsheets, I shut down. But this actually broke through that and made it that eliminated that competitive barrier. I'm that 50-person company, the leader at that company. That's what my persona is. And so I actually see this as like these tools can actually help you solve it will in my opinion, AI today helps solve problems for those size companies better than the larger companies. And the only problem is the knowledge gap. A lot of companies that size are so terrified of AI, not even terrified, they don't know. It's like it's such this unknown. They don't know how to even use it, how to interact with it, just even asking the questions. But I think that that is actually what the future is gonna look like, is those smaller companies are gonna reap the most of the rewards from this, which is, I think, the most exciting part. Because Patrick, what's your association generally, just rough numbers, what's the makeup between 50 and under person companies to over that? It's gotta be
But it's gonna be the majority. It's the
vast
industry.
majority, right?
That's just what it is. It's the majority. That's who we get to talk to. And you brought up some great points there in answering Rob's question earlier. It comes down to education. It's awareness of what tools are in front of you. AI seems to be getting baked into so many things right now, and we need to just educate, like, what is the tool? What is it doing? What does it have access to? Does it have access to my data? I don't want it to have access to my data, but I want it to do this. And then time to experiment with it ultimately. And that think that's probably one of the biggest hurdles, is just finding that time to see how is it gonna be valuable for me or my company overall. And your point about you brought up academic. That kind of something clicked in my head when I heard that, especially when it comes to AI, because I think we're in this time right now. We're seeing the academics side of, I don't know, coming from like colleges, universities, the PhDs. They're doing so much research on AI and so many other construction type technologies. They're now starting to come over into construction. So the theory to the practical, we always viewed it as like two completely separate things, but now we're really bringing it together and understanding, okay, how can this impact construction? And we're really learning from each other. So maybe we'll start seeing more of these academic type roles coming into construction to help introduce new ideas and talk about implementation and execution to make sure that is effective for the company.
Yeah, I think that is already happening. I think the challenge is always, I think it boils down to the fear of the unknown.
Hmm.
And you have that in the field, you have that in the office. So I was at a workforce conference a few months ago, and it was interesting because it was a workforce conference talking about this labor shortage in construction. And at some point in the conference, it was a very open dialogue with the whole room. And at one point, I stopped and I said, "We're all just in an echo chamber here. Like, this is the gap between the office and the field and why we have such trouble with understanding how to attract more people into this industry. How many people here, raise your hand if you work in the field or ever have?" And I think there is 2 people that said they ever have, but they hadn't for 10 years, me included, and not a single person from the field was there, and all these ideas that we're coming up with is, like, completely separated. And the more interesting thing was, I was terrified of the office, but the people we were talking to, we dug into, like, how scared were you when you were an engineer that graduated from university, came into the office? How scared of the field were you? They're like, "We were terrified. We did not wanna step foot on site." And so, in order to bridge this gap between the academic and the field, because you need both, I think you absolutely need that outside of the industry perspective on how to disrupt and create, like, how do you make, like, if construction's blockbuster, how do you introduce a Netflix, right? Solve that problem in a completely different way. A lot of the times it doesn't come from the blockbusters of the world because 'cause they're doing the same thing, just rewashing and trying it differently. It comes in that collaboration and innovation and disruption, but very interesting conversation.
Patrick, I'm curious. We talked a little bit, some of the work that you do with the ABC on that research. You guys have a couple really tremendous reports that I've pulled a lot of information from for presentations. Can you share some of the nuggets out of that for people to kind of think about when you're looking at AI, where to begin, what to do? What do you think are some of the highlights in the tech report that you guys have produced?
Yeah, so first you're referencing last year's ABC AI Tech Report. Every year, our committee, our Technology and Innovation Committee, which is made up of about 20 member companies or contractors coming together, and they produced this report. It's all built in house, so which is great. And last year, the focus was on AI, so we dove in and decided let's get some. We want to hear some case studies. We want to hear some insights. What's happening in construction? Reach out to some technology company leadership, right? Companies like Autodesk or Trimble that are in the industry, and what's their outlook on AI and how it's impacting their software and how they want to present it back to the industry. And then hearing from case studies from some of these other contractors that are able to dive in a little bit deeper. So maybe it is those larger companies that are able to invest in that and dedicate time, but we're able to learn from them too, because they can give us these stories of trying different products out, or maybe how we're using ChatGPT at our company, or we built something custom because of the data structure that we've established at our company. We can really take advantage of that system with AI to get access to certain data points and produce documentation. So There's a lot of great data points within that report directly. The other thing that we also have is, and that's public, by the way, that's open to anybody can read that. The other resource we have is a website, and it's a lot. I guess it's very simple. It's very surface level. It's introductory. It's understanding the buzzwords. We hear these terms get flown around so much, whether it's AI, it's machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing. So we're just introducing them to say this is what it is. This is what they're talking about when we hear these terms, and then to make it relatable to the members, we break down use case or examples in the project lifecycle. Right? What are AI tools that exist today in pre-construction, during construction? Safety's in there, shout out, right? Building maintenance, and then probably one of the most important things is how your HR and, your operational side should be reacting to your employees using AI and creating a policy. That's been a huge talking point really over the past year, is asking members, do you have an AI policy at your company, right? And in the beginning, not many people did, and now we're seeing more hands go up in the air, and they're like, yes, we have an AI policy in our handbook. So, we're having so many of these conversations and bringing things to light on what's possible. Even just in some of these presentations, why not just pull up a tool that we have access to and walk them through? That's probably better than a promotional or marketing video or pictures from a tool. Let's just use it together. Let's test it out. Let's see if we can break this thing, right? Let's understand its limits and get people encouraged to start trusting AI more and more to an extent.
Patrick,
Boy, that one you just hit on is something that's popped up a lot. The security of the platform. I was speaking with some contractors just last week that said they can't use ChatGPT. Their security team won't let them do it. They have to do everything in Microsoft. And even what's in Microsoft, they have very guarded rules of which project they can do what with inside of Copilot. Are you seeing that kind of level of these policies you're talking about?
Yeah, so we're starting to steer towards the cybersecurity awareness portion of the industry. That's probably a whole other podcast you've done or will do in the future, by the way. But we know that cybersecurity in general is a big talking point. Construction in general is usually in the top 5 for ransomware or incidents happening at companies. AI, again, with data, where's my data living? And then these safeguards put in place by either you have an internal IT team or you're hiring out third party, but it comes down to the specific contractor. I would think you're mentioning there, especially in the public works world. So government projects, federal governments, state level governments, read the contracts, understand what are they restricting there, and it becomes tough because your hands are kind of tied, going, well, they're telling us I can't use these tools with this documentation. I can't use it to help me take off this drawing. I can't upload this submittal to help source this information or summarize a certain, spec, right?
do
We
you
are
agree
hearing
with
that.
that, Patrick? Do you
What?
agree with that mindset that some of these IT departments are taking all around data privacy in this?
Data privacy is a big concern, and it's talked about in a lot of places. And if it's a blanket prohibition, it all comes down to your company. I don't work for your company, right? So I can't provide that opinion there. But do you have a process set up where if it's a specific project, are you hosting that data somewhere else then? Right? That's completely pulled away from somewhere else. That's where we might start getting into CMMC or like FedRAMP certified software, which is
Yeah,
few and far between in construction,
yeah,
right? And it still comes back to the education part. It's who's
agreed.
the contracting officer? Who are you building for? Who's the owner? Are they aware of AI, right? And the pluses, the minuses, and where's that coming from too? So is there an opportunity to upskill together? Do you have a relationship with your developer, with whoever you're working for to get to that point? So I know that wasn't a direct answer to your question, but data security is a big deal. We're pushing for like very good data security. We want that to be a known fact, and it's very important. And with AI, it's understanding Is AI open to the internet? Is it open to my data, or is it just my data and it's just sourcing my data as a reference point,
I think
right?
context matters there too, because I think what we're going through is this education matters and understanding matters. The fear of the unknown is the thing that drives most of this. And I think it's the same dynamic of going from on-prem to cloud, right? A lot of people are like,
Yes.
I do not want to go to cloud. Are you kidding me? You're saying that Microsoft is just going to have all this stuff in the cloud that anyone can access and hack into? Well, now we're all okay with the cloud. To me, the data privacy, of course, it's not blanket statement, just put everything in there. But in general, it is a lot more secure than people think, especially when you're dealing with, like, if you're talking about Microsoft, it's similar mindset to on the cloud. If you're putting it in SharePoint, that's cloud, it's in the cloud, your risk of having that hacked is similar to having your data being used in a malicious way for AI. And I think that's the education that we have to start going towards in this industry versus over-regulating or putting more fear into it and going towards the FedRAMP direction. It's like, understand it better. What is the risk here? What is the actual risk of things happening so that you can say, hey, I'm going to put this set of drawings in there so that my team creates exponential more efficiency in their day-to-day life. What's the risk of that? Let's say somehow somebody hacks Microsoft and gets access to somehow use AI to find things, which again, very low. Then what are the odds that they're actually going to want to take your set of drawings from that building and do something with it? Right. And if we anchor it in that conversation, the risk is actually probably similar to them getting into your SharePoint and then looking for that set of drawings. But that's
Yeah, it just
it's
comes down
complicated.
to your IT team, cybersecurity. I know this is like a whole different set of standards and ideals too, but yeah, you brought up transitioning from on-prem to cloud-based. So many things are cloud-based now. And but how's that data getting protected? But you want that person to read the user agreement from the software from Microsoft. They're spelling it out. Where is the data? Are they using your data to train Copilot or whatever tools, other AI tools are out there? Or do you need to pay for a certain level of security to ensure that they're not using your data to train AI? So, yeah, and we wanna make sure that the door is always open to innovate. We don't wanna close
Yeah.
any of those doors, right? We can have safeguards up. That's appropriate.
Safeguards, yeah. And
But
education on, like, if it's more risky, don't put DEI information in there or don't in general, don't put DEI information in there,
sure, yeah.
right? But, like, what are you loading in to try this to be a part if you wanna be bleeding edge, innovation is disruptive and you're gonna be at the cutting edge. So just be smart about what you use in there to try it and test, so that you can be bleeding edge, or wait until it's more secure and all this stuff is ironed out, but then you're not bleeding edge. Um, I got a question for you, Patrick, as we start to wrap up. I recently listened to this YouTube video with Dow Keela. He's like an AI leader globally. And one of the things, I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but I'll share you that video after. It's quite insightful. One of the things that he shared is like, the market opportunity here at a global level is like in 4.4 trillion. It's insane the amount of money that's being poured into this and the opportunity that can come out of this globally, right? Outside of construction. But one of the things he touched on was, I think it's something out of Forbes that said only 1 in 4 businesses today on a global scale is actually getting an ROI out of AI. Do you think that that is the same in construction? Do you think it's like, do you think we have better return on investment, or are we in the same position or worse right now at a construction level around actually getting an ROI out of AI right now, currently?
that's always the question when it comes to anything technology and innovation. We can always tie AI back to that. Is ROI? It's so common. You both have probably heard it, right? What's the ROI? Are we looking for uh, short-term returns on this investment? And when it comes to tech and innovation, especially with AI, you're probably not going to see that immediately, right? There's a process along the way. So that's kind of my first question back to the 1 in 4, what are they measuring? What are some examples of ROI? Is it I don't know, shortening somebody's task list down? Is it AI? I had to send so many emails today, but AI helped me curate half of those emails, and it opened up time for something else. And that's usually the messaging. That's the campaign is AI can be efficient. It's this tool to help augment your workforce and not necessarily replace it, especially in construction, because we need people to build. But how can it augment certain things? But on the flip side, yeah, if you're an executive at your company, you want to think about ROI. Are you investing in something as a capital expense, or is it an ongoing expense that you have to continue to consider in your budgets? Yeah, I think we're really starting to figure that part out and what that true impact is going to be. But I mean, I love what you're saying there. I love that people at least talking about it because we want to see more of those hard numbers. We want to see the data on that return. We see the marketing, we see what's possible, but we want to see it done. We want to see what's practical, and then help educate all of our members on the practicalities of it all.
I like that. That's a mic drop moment right there. Trying to educate the members on those possibilities, man. Patrick, that's good stuff, man.
Nobody,
Thank you
hey,
so much for
it's
joining us.
construction. You guys work in construction. Nobody has time to theorize for hours on time. They want to hear what's practical. What can I do
Yeah, what can
today?
it do?
What's going to impact me? What can I try? Right? It's Gaby brought up the echo chamber moment earlier. Yeah, there's a lot of echo chambers in the tech space in construction.
Tons.
We need the field people. We need to hear from the superintendents, the foremen, the journeymen. Like, what do you guys want? What's going to be helpful? What can I introduce to you and
Yeah.
get to your level?
What does AI actually do well and what doesn't it do well? When that same Dow Keela said something called a Moravec's paradox, is basically, it comes from robotics. It's talking about how what AI can do really well is it's the things that are easy or you think would be easy are actually hard for the AI, and the things that you think would be hard are actually easy. So like playing chess against a human, it can crush it. But some of the other things that we think, oh, all of a sudden we're just going to have driverless cars out of nowhere. Yeah, they're just starting to happen, but it's really complex. And it's really like when you get deeper into like Waymo, there's still people behind the scenes monitoring all that stuff. It's not completely autonomous yet. So it's interesting. But once you understand that, then you give the practical use to the team and say, this is what AI can do really well. Go down this vein instead of trying. Right now, everyone thinks it can do everything really well. It can't. It's still created by humans.
Yeah, and it comes down to your Waymo example, self-driving cars is there's integration factors involved. If AI is another tool in your tool set, you want to make sure it works with your other tools too, and it can integrate with that as well, and seeing the possibilities there. The one thing we don't ever want to lose in this industry, and I'm sure all other industries too, when we're bringing in this younger workforce and even training the current workforce, is critical thinking skills. And we need those. We're always going to need those. We need the human intelligence touch no matter what, especially in construction. You guys, again, you've been on construction sites, you've worked construction. Things change daily. You have a schedule, job starts within a day or two, that schedule's changing, right? So we can react to it. We can lean on technology to help us make decisions, but ultimately we're the ones still making these decisions, changing things on the fly, putting out quote unquote fires, right, on job sites.
That's good stuff, Patrick. I think that's all the time we got for today. Man, I appreciate your time to join us and share your stories, your experience. The path you've been on is awesome to see of going literally from the field into the office and then helping this trade organization lead the industry. So, man, thank you so much for your time and the stories today, brother.
Thank you guys, and thank you for what you're doing. I know that both of you also get out. You're not just a software company with a solution. You're there to educate the workforce in general on what's possible with technology, and especially in the safety realm and other things on a job site. You see that mission and you're pushing it forward.
Thanks for your time, Patrick. This is a great conversation.
Thank you.
All right, guys. appreciate the time today. So, Patrick, again, thank you so much for joining us to share your thoughts and stories. Gabe, thank you for joining me always on this awesome conversation. And that's all our time for the episode today. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Frontline Focus podcast powered by Salus. If you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe to our show on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Or better yet, leave us a comment on social media for us to hear your thoughts about this conversation around artificial intelligence for construction. Until next time, keep moving safety forward.